Candidates. They are setting the tone for tonight's debate by sharply criticizing Sanders for his comments about Cuba on 60 Minutes. The independent senator, though, is not backing down after praising some of the programs carried out by Cuba's longtime dictator, Fidel Castro. Ed O'Keefe is with me here in Charleston. Ed, you can feel the energy, right? And nobody's in the room yet.
Nobody's here yet. It's good to be with you, though, on stage.
I'm really glad you're here. So how do you think this will change the tone of tonight's debate?
It most definitely could in many ways. Tonight here on stage, arguably, the two contenders most likely to face the most scrutiny are Senator Sanders and, after last week's rough debate, former New York Mayor Mike Bloomberg. But in the hours before they stand up here, they or people close to them are standing by controversial things they've said or done.
I have been extremely consistent and critical of all authoritarian regimes all over the world, including Cuba.
Senator Bernie Sanders defended his praise for Fidel Castro.
And he formed the literacy brigade. You may read that. He went out and they helped people learn to read and write. You know what? I think teaching people to read and write is a good thing.
The Castro literacy program did teach hundreds of thousands of people to read and write in the 1960s, but it was also used to spread communist propaganda. Democrats like Congresswoman Debbie Murkisell Powell from Florida, a battleground state with a large Cuban-American population, blasted the comments.
Those comments are extremely hurtful to so many people here in my area and very offensive.
Sanders' opponents also sharply criticized him.
Why are we spotlighting the literacy programs of a brutal dictator instead of being unambiguous in our condemnation about the way he has treated his own people?
The senator trails former Vice President Joe Biden in South Carolina, but could solidify his frontrunner status with a win in Saturday's primary. And CBS News has learned Sanders is planning to launch a new statewide ad campaign here.
There's agreements between two parties that wanted to keep it quiet.
Meanwhile, former New York Mayor Mike Bloomberg is looking to bounce back from a shaky debate performance.
We have a very few non-disclosure agreements.
How many is
Let me
that?
finish.
How many is that?
None of them accuse me of doing anything other than maybe they didn't like the joke I told.
At a Woman for Mike rally last night in Texas, CBS News spoke to Diana Taylor, Bloomberg's longtime partner, about his company's use of non-disclosure agreements.
In none of them was he accused of doing anything than saying something nasty to a woman. That is not who he is. Life has changed. I grew up in that world. It was a bro culture. We have come a very, very long way, and Michael Bloomberg has been at the forefront of that change.
We pressed Taylor on what she would say to people who were bothered by allegations against Bloomberg and his response to the NDAs at last week's debate.
It was 30 years ago. Get over it.
A reminder of who's here on stage tonight. 7 of the remaining contenders: former Vice President Joe Biden, former Mayor Mike Bloomberg, former Mayor Pete Buttigieg, Senator Amy Klobuchar, Senator Bernie Sanders, businessman Tom Steyer, and Senator Elizabeth Warren. They all have met specific requirements in polling or have already won delegates in the early states. Gayle, give them hell.
No, we're just going to moderate the conversation, Ed. It'll be up to them to give each other hell. But listen, I got to comment on Diana Taylor.
Yeah.
She's certainly standing by her man.
She is.
Because this is turning into a bit of a talking point with many of the other candidates to address to Mayor Bloomberg.
Yes, and we can expect that he'll probably face questions about it again tonight.
All right, Ed O'Keefe, thank you.